Hello, Dar. This is Justin Jackson, Managing Director of Product Development with Career Builder, and the Moneyball product is my project that I've been working on over the last year and a half or so. I met you briefly at the SRG Exec Summit, and I know we had made plans to get in touch this week for a product demo and a meeting. I couldn't make it today, but so you're there with Nate, Colleen, and I did create this video, this screen share personally for you to just walk through the assessment and how we benchmark and then kind of rank the development priorities. It's essentially an extension of the presentation that you saw Brian Donahue from Career Builder present, as well as James Baumer from Workway. So I'm going to dive right in, keep it short and sweet. Moneyballforsales.com, the URL here you see that with the branded for Career Builder. This is how the user would log in. They're shown a quick demo video. They are asked to enter their information, their organization, and their role. Then we give them a brief description of the assessment and indicate that it's highly advised to answer honestly because for their development, and this sort of is a first tool that we use to ensure we get correct answers. It's 98 questions. The first set of questions are measuring 10 traits. There's 30 questions, each measuring 10 traits in 3 different ways. I'm not going to go through every question here, but I'm giving you an idea of what they look like. Trust my first instinct about situation. Compare yourself to others in an organization. So this is actually the first set of questions that we have about performance. They're just 2 quick ones in there, and then we the third section for that mini section of only 2 questions. The third section is essentially capturing data on 33 skills or abilities. We use those interchangeably a little bit. The model was co-created with Career Builder and Kelley School of Business. But we've asked 2 different questions about each of the 33 skills. First, to their perceived importance of that skill, and that's really the sales preference of the individual, and then as well as their perceived proficiency, or how good they are at this particular skill or ability. And there's a series of questions there. And as a result, 2 things happen. You're matched to a persona, which you're seeing here. This is a user interface, and my persona, tactician, it's one of the 4 personas that we identified in our research. And the other thing that happens is that individualized development plans are automatically generated as a result of the assessment. But I won't touch on those. Maybe Colin and Nate can if it comes up, but I'm going to focus more on the assessment and benchmarking. So here are the 33 skills that we measured. The 4 main competencies that they fall under, as you can read there. It's to keep it simple. There could be some overlap, we understand, but this is to essentially simplify it for the user. Those are the 33 questions there. Once we complete that assessment on the most basic level, we can kind of rank the perceived importance, so that's the preferences, or rank skill sets for each of the skills. But when we combine sales performance data, revenue, gross profit, or revenue, or use quota percentage rankings, we start to see, well, we can assign like a dollar amount to competency level in a particular competency. So, for this organization here, strategic and value-oriented thinking has a value of $10,656. Now, what really was the Moneyball moment, I believe, at the summit was how, when we put up on the screen the rankings of the all the skills by their impact on quota attainment, as well as gross profit, or it could be revenue. We can do a variety of really anything. We're doing a multivariate analysis. If we have enough data points, if we have a certain number of individuals complete the assessment, and we have clean data, sales performance data, then we can do things like this, so that we can see, for instance, monitoring performance has 3 stars next to it, and there's a kind of a ranking category there. The more stars means how much more confident we are. Things that have no stars, and you can see later on down here, they may just be trends that we've identified, and we're not they're not super confident. But what this really means is that there's on that you saw in the assessment, there's a scale of 1 to 5 that you're ranking yourself, but basically the people that your top performers essentially are ranking themselves 5s in monitoring performance. Your next level of people ranking themselves 4s in monitoring performance are about 7% of quota lower than those top performers. Well, this is in your organization. This was made for a customer, but that's what we would identify if we did this for your organization. So moving on to persona rankings is another one. This was the slide we put up at the summit of Workways. Rankings, obviously there's a big difference between his tacticians and his scouts. Similarly, this is career builder data. We were ranking our personas, and this is actually a look at the percentage of scouts that were above 100%, essentially. So there was more scouts, by nature that made it, and a larger chunk of the pie made it from that persona more than the other two. While there are 4 personas, a lot of times the navigator is really so small that we aren't statistically confident in our results, so we won't publish them. Another way to look at it, total TCV is total contract value by persona. Again, this is career builder data. You see it's flipped there. We have larger contracts by tacticians, less of a percentage of them made quota, made over 100%. And on average, they were a lower percentage of quota. So it's interesting that scouts on average had more, or on average they were 100%, and more of a larger chunk of scouts made quota as well. But tacticians had a larger chunk of contract value. So what that means, a lot of times we have to put all the pieces together till we, before we can actually kind of make a recommendation as to what this data means, or what actions you should stop doing today and start doing tomorrow, as we say, or start doing today. It really has to be a multivariate approach that we're looking at multiple data sets to finally put all the puzzle pieces together. Moving along, we can dig deeper. I won't go through all the personas, but the tactician, for instance, here I'm showing it. Those big dots are essentially skill gaps. These letters right here, these are abbreviations: SO, service orientation, UST, using sales tools effectively, identify measurable results, IMR. But essentially every report, which I'll show you briefly in a second, has a skill key, and this is just so we can dig deeper. So whether or not any of your salespeople or your recruiters took a Moneyball course, you could still use this information for your classroom training or to guide decision making at your organization based, that was on development needs, or maybe structuring teams, or even identifying future performers or new hires. And finally, we talked about the rankings. So in the end, we have an algorithm here that is essentially weighing the impact on these. So this is career builder data. I know that the impact on quota here for a 1-point jump in skill is about 6.5%. The TCV impact is about almost $200,000. And in this case, those are both so high that even though we have a high average proficiency, this is based off 720 sales reps, and we also think it's important, it's still a high priority because it makes such a big impact. Alternatively, comparatively, using sales tools effectively, high impact on quota, not a huge impact on TCV, and I can get into that a little bit more maybe at another time. We start to factor out variables like promotion versus performance, because in some cases you get a bigger book size just because you get promoted, and we can factor those things out. So going back to using sales tools, it's high on effective quota. It has a low proficiency and low perceived importance, so it's also high development because we need this is a cultural, organizational thing that we need to change. We need to make people aware that this is very important because it has an impact on quota. And obviously, our entire company is saying that they're not that good at it, so it should be a priority, especially because we don't think they're that good, but it has a high impact on quota. So I think you get the point there. And finally, really the newest piece here, the most recent piece of this Moneyball puzzle is that we've added engagement. So we've created our own engagement survey that's about 90 seconds to complete, and it's a snapshot that we like to take before we start Moneyball. This is real data from Gannett, where we measure overall engagement, and then those are 4 subcategories below. But once we've done that, we can then tie engagement to performance and to those skills, and really make sense of all of it. And that's probably the biggest Moneyball piece. So this thing is going a little bit long, but let me show you briefly here what it looks like to. Oh, here's Gannett's. So like going back to Gannett's data, in the end, this is going to look very stats heavy, but I want to show you how deep we can get with the engagement. So for this one, we've tied overall engagement to a skill and its impact on essentially on performance of that skill is stated above, the actual number. And we were able to rank those. And so essentially with the R, you want to have zeros, a low number there, and a higher number for P, just to keep it very simple. And so there's a strong correlation between engagement and the ability at this company to identify win-win alternatives. So yeah, I hope that helps. And here's an example really quickly. And it's late, and I'm also I know I'm rambling on here, but here's what it looks like when we factor out performance versus promotion. We did that for all of these skills, and you see in some cases neither one is being influenced. Sometimes just performance, so it might be 2 people with the same title. Sometimes it really has an impact more on them. The promotion is really weighing a bigger impact. An interesting final note is that we've done 5 or 6 of these, the full-on reports now, and each time the top couple skills have been different. It's very interesting. I'm sure eventually we're going to start seeing some duplicates because there's only 33 skills. But interesting, even Gannett and Career Builder selling a lot of the similar solutions and products. Time management was actually number 33. It was last on Career Builders. Very interesting to know. Anyway, thank you.